And joining me now on Skype to take a look at today's economic numbers is Joel Griffith, research fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Joel, welcome back. Always good to talk with you. So we heard President Trump say today's jobs report proves our economy is roaring back. Do you agree?
Oh, there is no doubt. We saw 4.8 million jobs created last month. It was the second consecutive all-time record high number. We saw more than 2 million last month. Of course, we lost more than 20 million in the months before, but there's no denying this economy is coming roaring back. And I think if you look at what happened following the Great Recession, we created more jobs in the last 2 months than we did in the first 46 months following the trough of the Great Recession more than 10 years ago. So this is a astounding comeback. You know, it shows that Americans are ready to go back to work. They're ready to go back out and about with their families and get on with their lives as soon as governors give them the green light to do so. And in those states where the governors have said, let's get back to business, Americans are going back with all their hearts and returning to their normal lives.
Yeah, certainly some great news indeed. The COVID-19 pandemic hit every sector of the economy. However, some industries, as you know, were impacted more than others, like travel and hospitality. Any indication yet how the recovery is playing out and where there's been growth?
Yeah, actually, those sectors, the service sector, saw more than 2 million jobs created last month. And that is incredibly important because a lot of those jobs you're talking about bars and restaurants, entertainment centers. And I think importantly, talk about the restaurant business, which employs so many millions of people. We saw more than 1.5 million jobs come back to the restaurant and bar sector. And that's a very encouraging news. That was actually really the strongest sector last month. And there were many strong sectors, including construction, for instance. We've seen more than half of the jobs that were lost. We've actually now seen those jobs come back in construction and manufacturing as well. Another month with several 100,000 manufacturing jobs coming back. So all around, it's very hard to find bad news in this report. 4.8 million jobs and growth in pretty much every sector across the board.
Yeah, definitely good news. Unfortunately, some bad news because we are seeing a spike in coronavirus cases in some states, and that's leading to pauses in reopenings or in some cases the closure of some businesses that did reopen. Joel, how do you think that will impact the overall economy?
Well, we're seeing some flare-ups in some communities, and a lot of these precautions that are putting in place are very localized. I'm currently in Nashville for the 4th, and there are a few extra precautions that have been put in place. They're recommending masks. People have to wear masks if they're within close proximity. But the businesses that have reopened, they're staying open, and that's great news. And I think that's what you're going to continue to see as far as the trend across the country. And there really are some disparities playing out. You've seen a lot of states such as South Carolina, Georgia, Florida that have pretty much reopened. You compare the booming jobs market there with some of the very elevated unemployment that you see in places in California and New York. There's some big disparities. So this shows the importance of as quickly as possible allowing Americans to get back to work. And one thing I'd want to add is Congress needs to end this disincentive to employment. Right now, these unemployment benefits of $600 per week from the government on top of the states, that is a disincentive to people going back to work because in many situations they're earning more off the job than on the job. You can't expect a full recovery so long as we're incentivizing people to stay off the job. So we are growing and booming and recovering despite some of these well-intentioned but misguided government programs.
Well, Joel, thank you so much for coming on. You know, we always appreciate it. Joel Griffith, research fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Thank you again for your analysis and happy early 4th of July.
You as well.